Signs a married woman may be interested in you but is trying to conceal it include subtle cues that you might have sensed from someone. Signals so faint you could almost overlook them, yet couldn't quite decipher. Now imagine that person is married, which adds a layer of complexity. And welcome to today's discussion, where we explore this intriguing and nuanced topic of recognizing signs that a married woman might like you while attempting to hide it. Before we continue, let us be clear that this is not about encouraging boundary crossing or disrespecting commitments, but rather about understanding human behavior and becoming more aware of the signals people may unconsciously express, as learning to recognize these cues can significantly shift your perspective on relationships and interactions. In this video, we will examine the subtle indicators a married woman might display if she feels drawn to someone outside her relationship, break down the psychology behind these behaviors, and help you distinguish between simple friendliness and something more intentional. So stay with us, because these insights may completely reshape how you interpret social dynamics. Let us begin with context by asking why a presumably committed married woman might develop feelings for someone else, keeping in mind that relationships are rarely simple and marriage is no exception. While every situation is different, certain psychological factors can play a role, particularly regarding emotional and psychological fulfillment. At times, a woman may feel a gap in her relationship where she is not receiving the attention, appreciation, or emotional connection she desires, which does not necessarily mean her marriage is unhappy, but could simply be moments where she feels overlooked or undervalued. And when another person unintentionally provides that missing sense of recognition, it can spark something meaningful. It is important to note that this is not always about physical attraction, but often involves small gestures like remembering something she mentioned, noticing a change in her appearance, or offering a sincere compliment, all of which can stand out, especially if they are lacking in her current relationship. However, this is where things become complicated, because the difference between genuine friendliness and intentional signaling can be very subtle, as married women can be warm and engaging without any deeper meaning. So the key is to observe patterns to determine if she is equally attentive to everyone or if her focus seems directed specifically toward you through deliberate efforts to connect, distinctions we will explore further. Understanding this context is essential not just for interpreting signals, but for handling the situation with maturity and respect, aiming not to jump to conclusions or act impulsively, but to stay aware of what is happening. Now let us move into observable body language and communication patterns, considering if you have ever noticed someone's actions or tone suggesting more than their words reveal, since clues of subtle attraction in such situations are often present but carefully concealed. Nonverbal cues can be incredibly revealing, starting with prolonged eye contact, where she holds your gaze longer than usual, or repeatedly looks your way, which may not be accidental, since eye contact is a powerful indicator of interest, especially if she quickly looks away when noticed in a telling back-and-forth dynamic. Another sign is subtle grooming behavior, like adjusting hair, straightening clothing, or lightly touching her face or neck when you are nearby. Actions that often occur subconsciously when someone wants to present themselves well to a person they are drawn to. Posture also plays a role, as leaning toward you during conversations, positioning her body in your direction, or appearing open and relaxed suggests comfort and engagement, whereas a noticeable shift to a closed-off or distant demeanor when others are around could indicate she is trying to hide something, making observation of these contrasts key. Beyond body language, communication patterns can reveal just as much, as a married woman feeling a connection may engage in more personal and involved conversations, where simple questions turn into deeper discussions about thoughts, experiences, or emotions, reflecting a desire for connection rather than casual interaction. Pay attention to details she remembers about you, such as preferences, routines, or interests mentioned in passing, because recalling small things is a strong sign of close attention, since people tend to remember what matters to them. Compliments are another indicator, particularly thoughtful ones about your personality, ideas, or efforts that carry deeper meaning depending on tone, warmth, and context. And what stands out most is how these interactions make you feel. If her communication seems more intentional, engaging, or personal than typical friendliness. Effort is one of the clearest signs when someone is interested but trying to hide it, as actions can unintentionally reveal feelings through finding reasons to be around you, attending events she wouldn't normally join, passing by your workspace more often, or participating in activities you are involved in, none of which are typically random coincidences. You might also notice a sudden interest in your hobbies or preferences as a way of creating common ground. Yet things become more complex when behavior includes hesitation and contradiction, such as appearing distant or reserved in group settings to avoid detection, or quickly withdrawing when someone else joins a private conversation. These shifts often reflect an internal struggle balancing feelings with the need to maintain boundaries and appearances, making the contrast between private warmth and public distance very revealing alongside mixed signals where engagement alternates with indifference due to conflicting emotions of interest versus caution or guilt. Despite these signals, she is unlikely to openly acknowledge her feelings because admitting them would cross a line she may not be willing to face, leading her to deflect, deny, or downplay the topic to keep things ambiguous. If you find yourself in this situation, first and foremost, respect boundaries, because regardless of signal strength, she is in a committed relationship, and acting on it could have serious consequences for everyone involved. Take a step back to evaluate the bigger picture and consider whether engaging further aligns with your values, as sometimes the most responsible choice is to create distance. And reflect on your own behavior to ensure you are not unintentionally encouraging the dynamic through small actions that could be misinterpreted. If needed, adjust your approach by limiting one-on-one interactions, avoiding overly personal conversations, and maintaining clear, respectful boundaries, addressing any impact on your comfort or peace of mind with clarity and tact by setting your own boundaries calmly rather than confronting her directly about her feelings. Ultimately, navigating this situation requires awareness, integrity, and self-control. Summarizing that subtle attraction may show through lingering eye contact, thoughtful conversations, or intentional proximity, while hesitation, mixed signals, and avoidance point to internal conflict that shouldn't be ignored. The key takeaway is awareness rather than action. Recognizing that understanding these signs is not about pursuing, but about fostering healthy interactions built on respect, trust, and ethical choices. As we conclude, remember that self-awareness is essential when dealing with complex human dynamics, and respecting boundaries protects both others and your own integrity. So if you found this discussion helpful, consider liking, sharing, and subscribing for more insights into human behavior and relationships. And stay tuned, because there is more to come.